All right, welcome to Crypto News and Investigative Reports. I'm glad that you're able to join us today. I want to start by saying everyone that's out there putting out this cryptocurrency news for the public to be able to get it is an honorable thing. I want you to keep it up. There are some good people out there putting out some very excellent videos, and I really appreciate it. I want to say thank you to CKJ Crypto News. I got a text last night from a friend going, "Hey man, pull up the live stream," and I went to pull up the live stream and I caught it like kind of right at the end there. And but I do want to say thank you to CKJ Crypto News for the shout out. It means a lot, and it just goes to show the type of character and the concern that that man has regarding taking his time just to get this crypto news out to people, man. So thank you very much, CKJ Crypto. And I got a lot of people that sent messages, and I try to hit everybody back. Had a chance to reply to a lot of messages. So thank you to everybody. And I want to say, if you don't have any cryptocurrency, you need to go out there and get some. Okay, you need to go buy you some Ripple XRP. It's at the price. It's unbelievable. So you need to go out there and buy some. If you can take some money right now and buy you some Ripple XRP, you need to do that, because you'll be so happy that you did it in just a matter of years. A couple of years, you'll be extremely glad that you went out and bought some Ripple XRP or whatever your favorite cryptocurrency is. I just happen to know that Ripple XRP has the best use cases in the cryptocurrency market. And there's nothing any better with the use cases than Ripple XRP. So I want to say, let's get started, because we've got a lot of news going on up in here. If anybody been watching any of my videos, I've been following the International Monetary Fund. I've been following the Federal Reserve, and I've been following the central banks and the world banks. And I'm focusing in now on the central banks. Not as much the International Monetary Fund, because they are making the suggestions to the central banks. But right now, central banks are causing cryptocurrency a big problem. The central banks are confusing. They're not giving us clear what they're going to do, what they're trying to do, how they're trying to do what they're doing. They're not really giving us any clear indication of what in the world is going on with them. The central banks are not sending a clear, concise message what their intentions are. Here's an article that really describes the position of the central bank news, the Cointelegraph central bank news. And I'll read this, and this really describes the confusing, frustrating, whatever you want to call it, way that the central banks are operating. And I'll say before I read this, let's go through this real quick. The central banks are in the middle. You have the IMF, and the IMF kind of delegates things down to central banks. Central banks are the lending. They lend to commercial banks, and the commercial banks lend their money to the consumers, to their clients, to either buy houses, buy cars, start businesses, for academics, education, and things like that. And so what happens is the consumer or the client does not pay the central bank back. They pay the commercial bank back. And this is all what's going on with cryptocurrency and the central banks here. So, if I borrowed some money from the Bank of America, I don't pay the central bank back. I pay the commercial bank, Bank of America, I pay them back. And the central bank lends money to the commercial bank at quote unquote the key lending rate, or whatever that is. That's how this works. So when you're talking about the movement of money, central bank, International Monetary Fund, central banks and world banks, and then the Federal Reserve, all the Treasury Department in America, and all of those entities work together to move money around the world. But the central banks are not really, we don't know what in the world they want to do. Their news has been confusing. Everything they've been saying is, it's kind of difficult to follow them. They all have their individual ideologies and concepts. They're not on one page. And it's pretty frustrating trying to follow the central banks right now. And I'll read this paragraph to you. This is central bank news from Cointelegraph. It says, the central bank or reserve bank is a governmental financial institution that controls the state's currency, interest rates, and money supply. A central bank is often the regulator of a commercial bank system of its country and acts as a lender of last resort to the banking sector when the banks find themselves unable to obtain sufficient liquidity without the help of the regulator, period. A central bank is supposed to be the maximal independent from political influence, but usually is under limited control. Now that's what you want to, I'll read that again. A central bank is supposed to be maximally independent from political interference, but usually is under limited control. All right, which means that nobody actually controls central banks. That's kind of what that's saying. The main goals of the central banks are high employment, so that's what they try to keep. If there's a high employment, also price stability and economic growth, which are achieved with microeconomic reforms. They fight against inflation. That's good. Capital investment and consulting activities. Now, we don't know what that entails. The main instruments of a central bank are control over interest rates. Okay, that's good. Open market regulations. Okay, that's good. Capital and reserve requirements and regulating currency exchanges. Okay, so and as you can see, this article. Let's read some of the news about the central banks. 19 hours ago, blockchain startup signs MOU with Central Bank of Caracal and San Martin. I covered this article last week. They're trying to start their own cryptocurrency for those two countries. That's what that is, and I covered that article on my last video. Here's another one I covered. The Dutch central bank does not consider cryptocurrencies as real money. What? Okay, so right here in this article, they're making a cryptocurrency. In this article, they don't consider the Dutch central bank don't consider it cryptocurrency. Let's keep reading. Iran preparing ground for national cryptocurrency to dodge U.S. sanctions. What in the world is that? So now you got them creating cryptocurrencies for political reasons. Iranian authorities are taking fresh steps towards creating a national cryptocurrency in the face of the U.S. sanctions returning. What in the world is that? These are central bank stories. And then here's another one. The EU Parliament study, central bank digital currencies will reshape competition in crypto market. A European Parliament Committee on Economic and Monetary Affairs study suggests the CBDC as a remedy for crypto sector competition. Okay, that's not helping cryptocurrency. All right, here's another one. Bank of Canada study finds double spending in blockchain is unrealistic. Here's another one. India Supreme Court decision on central bank crypto dealings ban moves to September. So India is banned. I mean, they got a ban on cryptocurrency, moved until September. Here's another one. U.S. Congress hearing. U.S. Congress hearings on the 19th. A central bank's digital currency, one of the worst financial ideas. See, so I mean, and it goes on. The list just keeps going. It keeps going. It keeps going. All bad. All bad. So the thing that's happening with central banks is that they're not on the right page. They're not on the cryptocurrency page. The central banks are all saying derogatory and negative things about cryptocurrency. So if you can't get the International Monetary Fund, if you can't get the Central Bank and the World Bank, and if you can't get the Federal Reserve all on one page, all you're going to be able to do with cryptocurrency is use it for payments. That's all I can see, because if the central banks is not going to work with the commercial banks, and regarding cryptocurrencies, or if they're going to make their own, and if they make their own, then I mean all the central banks have their own different cryptocurrencies. And so now you're going to have, I don't know how many central banks there are in the world, but how many central banks in the world going to have their own cryptocurrencies? And, following this story from my previous videos, I read that the International Monetary Fund was saying don't create your own cryptocurrencies because it can cause destabilization in the financial markets, because one of the things that the central bank is supposed to do is keep stabilization in currencies. And so now they're talking about, all the central banks are talking about creating their own cryptocurrencies. So I can't really see a central bank, IMF, Federal Reserve coming together anymore. Well, especially with all of these news stories about how disheveled or independent each central bank is. I mean, on the beginning of this story, I was just saying that, wow, if they all came together, they can select Ripple XRP as their go-to cryptocurrency for banking. The central banks, the International Monetary Fund, and the Federal Reserve could all come together and select Ripple XRP. And because it's the best cryptocurrency, it had the best suite of things for banking. So I actually basically thought that would be the decision. And I thought that the decision would happen, I'd say, in the next 16, 18 months. But as it stands right now, as we look at the news that is coming from the central banking sector, we see that they're toiling and wrestling and trying to figure out, do they actually want to start their own cryptocurrency? Do they want to have central bank A cryptocurrency, central bank B cryptocurrency, central bank C cryptocurrency? So all these central banks have all these different cryptocurrency. You have a Dutch cryptocurrency, an Indian cryptocurrency, a Korean cryptocurrency coming from the central banks. Man, that's mass confusion. And then how does the International Monetary Fund and the commercial banks handle that? So it's almost the same situation with fiat. Each country makes their own cryptocurrency. I don't know. I mean, they're sending out some very confusing signals, because they're not saying, okay, all central banks can make their own cryptocurrency. They're also not saying all central banks will not make their own cryptocurrency. And they're also not saying that they will select a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or Ripple, or something that banks are working, that like Ripple banks could work with already. So, I mean, this is totally mass confusion. And then let's keep going. I want to try to move fast through this one today. Here we go. Here's the top 12 crypto skeptic countries. This came out today, yesterday. I'm sorry. This came out yesterday. So here it is. Top 12 countries that do not see eye to eye on cryptocurrency and blockchain technology for various reasons. And I don't want to go into the whole article, but it does actually say that what my point is, these central banks are not on the same page, because they got a totally different idea about what to do with cryptocurrency. Some of these countries that are in super debt, real high debt, they're starting to say, well, let's use it to get out of debt. Another country is saying, let's use it to get around U.S. sanctions. Another one said, let's use it, for money laundering and crime and that kind of a thing. And so the central banks are not really very clear and not clear and concise and giving their information to the public. The geography of the blockchain and cryptocurrencies is still growing, and it is still difficult to brand one region as being one more favorable towards the new tech over the others. But several individual countries have come out as being outright crypto skeptics for a good reason, or at least according to them, period. While some take initial coin offerings, ICOs, with a pinch of salt, others ban cryptocurrency exchanges. A few go after the crypto miners, and one country just ruled to ban the whole crypto thing entirely, at least for now. Such individual cases also contribute to the wider environment in which the cryptosphere must develop, as several large markets end up being shut off. Here's our pick of the top crypto skeptic countries, all right? One is Egypt. They having some problems. The other one is Morocco, Algeria. They having problems. China. The Chinese government also took action against crypto operations and trade. China forbids ICOs trading, the network fundraising tools, offshore cryptocurrency exchanges, ban the ban caused a 6% decline in Bitcoin prices. So you got China, you got Bangladesh, you got Saudi Arabia, you got Vietnam, you got India. I mean, you know, what we see happening here is that these cryptocurrencies and the central banks are not taking control or having a one clear, concise voice. You know, I was writing some notes on all of this, but it's not, you know, it's a lot. It really is a lot of news. These central banks are not really working together, and the central banks want to. Oh, I better plug up my laptop. These central banks don't want to work together, and they don't want the cryptocurrency. They're having like these humongous problems. They're having humongous problems trying to keep the cryptocurrency, and that's really a shame that they're having that problem. And so, if these central banks can't get on the same page, then we won't have mass adoption. I have to say that like that. Sorry about that. I had to charge up my laptop. But we won't have mass adoption if these if these central banks won't come together. So I'm gonna keep following this story, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Like, for instance, here's another example of them not coming together. Venezuela Assembly wants a central bank for cryptocurrency. So Venezuela is actually saying they want their own central bank cryptocurrency. What? I mean, you know, what is that? Now we're saying that Venezuela is going to start a bank, a central bank for cryptocurrency. Let's read a little bit. Not content with just developing its own cryptocurrency, Venezuela is now taking it a notch higher with a proposal to create a central bank for cryptocurrency as part of its effort to link the Petro token to its new Bolivar currency, according to a Reuters report. See, so now we're talking about countries starting their own cryptocurrency and their own central bank cryptocurrency, not just lending. Because see, let me make this point. Central banks, I think I made it already too. I'll do it again. Central banks lend money to commercial banks. I guess the central banks are saying, how are we going to lend cryptocurrency to the commercial banks? But I don't know if that's the issue either, because, you know, if you use something like an XRP as an intermediary, you can still, you know, turn that cryptocurrency into the regular currency of that country through pairings. And so there again, we're really not sure how we're going to get quote unquote mass adoption when none of these entities are working together. It's not making any sense. All right, because if a country has their own central bank, and then they have their own cryptocurrency in their central bank, then that's the cryptocurrency that they're going to be pushing. And that's just how that's going to work. And so Venezuela is talking about making a central bank with cryptocurrency, and that's crazy. I mean, we don't know where that's going. And then here you go. Now, because of all of the central banks having the idea of either banning cryptocurrency, starting their own cryptocurrency, or combining with another country and, you know, and selecting a cryptocurrency, or whatever they're going to do, that's causing uncertainty with the Federal Reserve. So the Federal Reserve now, they're saying, you know, they're trying to figure out what they want to do. The Federal Reserve is going, well, we can't just sit by while the central banks try to figure out their problem. And so the U.S. Fed paper, central banks' cryptocurrencies are missing the point. This is a very good article too. This is a Forbes article, and it's kind of old. It's April 24, 2018, and I went back and I wanted to see what the Feds thought about all of these central banks making their own cryptocurrency. And so it says the U.S. Fed in the Fed papers, the central banks' cryptocurrencies are missing the point. And so this article is saying they need to not make their own cryptocurrency. They need to work with the cryptocurrency that's already out there, basically. And their reasons for making their own cryptocurrency are not very good ones. I'm trying to move this out the way once it comes up. Many central banks around the world are either considering or already developing cryptocurrencies to try to meet the demand brought about by the rise of Bitcoin. It's too late. I mean, it's going to cause some serious problems. Many Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies faithful have long said that these would not really be in the same category as Bitcoin and other more recent cryptocurrencies, as they would not be decentralized. All right. And a paper from the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, one of the 12 regional reserve banks made up of the U.S. Central Bank, not only supports this argument, but goes further. It says, let me see if I can get this out the way. Man, I can't get it out of the way. It says, in March, the Basel-based Bank of International Settlements warned that central banks risk endangering the stability of the global financial system if they jumped on the Bitcoin bandwagon after the likes of the Swedish Riksbank and the Swiss National Bank revealed they have been weighing the idea. The Bank of England Governor Mark Carney has meanwhile threatened to bring cryptocurrencies under what he described as a regulatory tent. And so this just goes on and on to try to discuss the mass confusion that's been coming out regarding these central banks. So what am I saying, folks? I'm saying to you that it's kind of a real crazy ride, man. It's a crazy ride trying to figure out what in the world the central banks are going to do. They are just in a tailspin. They're not clear. They have no concise message. They are not working together. The Federal Reserve and the IMF are trying to put pressure on the central banks to try to get some kind of cohesiveness to what they are going to do. All right, so I just thought I'd make a video kind of, trying to bring the problem out. What is this? And then here's is Tether the central bank of crypto trading? Here is an idea that they're saying the Federal Reserve, you could use Tether as a central bank for the central banks. Since the US dollar is the reserve currency of the world, now you could use this Tether as the cryptocurrency for the central bank. That's what this article is talking about. And then there's the Fed coin that I talked about last night. It says Tether initially supports the US dollar, euro, and soon the Japanese yen, represented by that T. Tether platform currencies are denoted as USDTs, euro, and the Japanese money. So, you guys, I wish I had more of a clear, concise message to give you tonight. But I just want to tell you tonight, it's nothing but total confusion from the central banks. We don't know what they're going to do. So, I didn't even start with looking at the market today. I didn't even start with looking at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is back up to Bitcoin is up $106 billion a market cap. Ethereum is at $28 billion market cap, and XRP is at $11 billion market cap. Made $1 billion from yesterday. Yesterday it was at $10 billion. Now it's at $11 billion. Bitcoin Cash is at $8.9 billion, and Stellar took the number 5 spot at $4 billion. So we still got about a $200 billion market cap in cryptocurrency. you know, like I said, they're going to figure out what to do about it. They're going to continue to, you know, wrestle. The central banks are going to wrestle around until we get some kind of idea what the central banks are going to do. Really, it's frustrating. I mean, you know, it's really frustrating because all of the news, none of it makes any sense. Only news that's making sense is that use cases from Ripple XRP, basically. You know, and some of the other cryptocurrencies, they don't have no use cases. You know, they're just not really, not like Ripple XRP. Some of them are just decentralized cryptocurrencies. And let me say this: the other problem that the central banks are having is that, you know, and which we read, is that they can't just make up a cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrencies, quote unquote, are decentralized and they have an open ledger. And so that's another issue for central banks. They can't, you know, they won't be able to lend money. Now, lending money sometimes is just point blank period is a scam. I just got to say that. Lending money to clients sometimes is just a scam. I mean, I get lend $100 from the bank, you get lend $100 from the bank, and somebody else gets $100 from the bank, you know? And you know, YouTuber 1 gets $100, YouTuber 2 gets $100, and YouTube number 3 guy gets $100 from the same bank. You know what? That's the same $100. They're lending to all of us, and they're charging all 3 of us interest on that same $100. That's not going to be available in cryptocurrency because it's an open ledger. You can't lend the same $100 to 3 people, you know, because it's one transaction and it's gone. And so the central banks and banking is having a problem with that, especially central banks, because they lend money, and that's what that's their primary thing, is to lend money and to control it. So I'll cut off right there. I can go on and on tonight with this issue of the central banks. I'm going to be following this issue very close. But before I close, I want to say, if you don't own any cryptocurrency, you want to go out and make sure you get some, because eventually there's going to be a solution, and cryptocurrency is going to hit the roof. It's going to fly up. It's going to go sky high. So you want to make sure that you can take yourself some money, buy you some cryptocurrency, and hold it. All right. The next thing I want to say is make sure you subscribe. If our content is helping you to you know, figure out what's going on with cryptocurrency, look into cryptocurrency in-depth movement of the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, central banks, and the Federal Reserve. Hopefully, we're helping you to kind of at least become aware of what's going on. All right. And finally, I want to say we're going to be doing some different things. We got some people coming on, and we're going to be trying to do some live. And so we want to try to get our viewing up and our subscriptions up, and we want to try to up our numbers. So if you could, you know, hit us and leave a message, leave a comment, a good comment, bad comment, whatever you think. It doesn't matter. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and everybody's digging into this cryptocurrency thing and trying to pull out the best thing we can to help people to understand what's going on. All right? Okay. All right. Until the next time, folks, you guys have a good day wherever you are, or wherever you are, have a good night, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.